All right, we are live. Let me just tweet that out. Awesome. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Tomorrow is going to be a short day. It is Christmas Eve, so it is going to be only a half day. The market's going to close at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So a lot of people are going to be off on vacation this week. So normally I would say probably not the best week to trade. Right, it's going to be a good week to study, to observe and learn. Not a good week to get chopped up. Now, at the same time, nothing has kind of been the same in the last couple months than it has in the past. So you never know. We could get some wild movements already. Futures are up pretty huge, right? I mean, a lot of negative news over the weekend. We, have government shutdown until Thursday. Mnuchin is talking to like bank CEOs, because everybody's worried and all that stuff. So all that stuff is pretty negative, and yet futures are pointing up. So why not? Right? Makes sense, right? I mean, let's go to the SPX, the S&P. Cash and just kind of see what's going on here. Lots of lines, right? But as we've talked about, right, in 2018 has been in this long channel, right? Tested it several times, right? And so we had a wave 1 down, ABC correction to make a wave 2, and then working on a wave 3 here. So could be a kind of a 1, 2, 3. So as I've said a couple times, wave 3 of 3, right? If you go to smaller time frames, I think I even said a wave 3 of 3 of 3. But here we are, regardless, and kind of reach this this level here. This is not really a trend line of any sort. I just drew that to kind of show last time the potential size of wave 3 before doing a correction. So do I feel like a huge rally is on the way? Probably not, right? I mean, it could. I mean, who knows? There's all sorts of shenanigans that could go on, but it really looks like after this double top here that we're starting a kind of a broader term bear market type situation, right? So without really knowing exactly what stage of wave 3 we are in, this could just be like a wave 1, and then we might be looking for some sort of like choppy ABC correction here for a wave 2 of this impulse wave 3. So just have to see, right? So I hope for anybody who's long that this thing bounces as high as possible for you. In the meantime, I mean, it could, right? I mean, it could come all the way up to here, this pitchfork median line as some sort of resistance, right? We come up to 2580-ish, before seeing some further downside. So hopefully we get a nice rally this week and can put on some longs in this corrective phase back up, and can make some money that way. Either way, let's be flexible and just keep an eye on the market, right, in the direction. So right now, everything looking to the upside. So let's see if that carries through the evening, and kind of see what happens where we're at in the morning. Other than that, just some real quick game plan review. I know a lot of people had some very successful trades off of our orbs on Friday. So Facebook being one of them that I posted that morning. The reason I made that a 15-minute orb, not only, of course, it's been getting beat up and all that stuff, but the reason the news that I had tweeted on that looked interesting, and looking like the market, it seems like a little late for them to join the crypto bandwagon, right? I mean, Bitcoin's getting destroyed, and most of the the new ICOs, the initial coin offerings, are pretty much broke. And in fact, Bloomberg, I think, just came out with an article, or their weekly, Business Week magazine, pretty much just trashing Bitcoin. They said rhymes with Bitcoin or something like that. So you can kind of get the idea. And then they made the little thing at the bottom of it. But anyway, the idea is probably not really good news, right? I mean, it could have been, but that's why we watched the 15-minute orb, right? So this is we're at the 15-minute bar right here. So we looked at the 15-minute bar. And then, we look to take a short on that. So, because it was very red, right, very bearish. Market, of course, was bearish too, so it made sense. So entry here about 131, kind of 85. Initial spike down, right, good for almost 2 points, right, to the downside, right. So that would have been good if you were short. You could have covered here, right. Then it kind of bounced back up, right. But look what it did. Look, just kind of tagged just the bottom of the of that 15-minute orb, and guess what? Reverse. And that's what I tweeted out too. I said, great reload opportunity. And it went quick, right? So also look at that trail, that 5 MA down too. So another thing to look at that point. But yeah, and then it just kind of worked just for the rest of the day, and just ridiculous, right? I mean, that's a big move for Facebook, right? $8. So we would have caught a lot, a good portion of that. So yeah, so I mean, even here is like 7, so $8 right there. Yeah, so that was a pretty good move, So that was a good one on Facebook. Everything else, pretty much worked. Nike was on the list. Nike was in earnings. I tweeted out that it could be a good reversal. I even sent out like a here orb, 15-minute orb to the upside, but then kind of consolidated, came back in, and then eventually really broke. Finally, this is about where I tweeted, "Hey, watch this," because it was coming back down, and then it was 72.77 all the way back down, almost a point and a half there. And then let's see, we had, I think even on the 60s, yeah, I think I tweeted it because at some point I thought we had an inside 60. No, not quite, but hello. No, not quite an inside 60, but still. Spinning top, though. Spinning top break to the downside. But either way, just watching that orb, would have been a, nice quick short there. What else do we have? Twitter. Twitter was on the list. I think just as a some follow through. Oh yeah, this was a. I'm not sure why I had it on the 15th. I think just a follow through because Citron came out that day. This was the day after because we did a 60 anchor here. Then Citron tweeted. So today would have been the. You could have done a 15 on Twitter this day too. So that's the 60s. Let's go 15s on that one. Here 28.30 down to 27. So a good point on Twitter. And then of course we already talked about Facebook. CGC was the only one that was, I think. Anyway, 15-minute orb on this one, gapped up pretty high. Had some positive news going on it that it was going to release in the United States. Apparently, it didn't go over too well. 15 orb to the downside could have been a short, or if you just would have waited for it long, never would have triggered. Right. So some good stuff there. So yeah, so pretty much that was Friday. So this week we're coming in, got a few good ideas for the game plan for Monday. Not going to go too crazy. It's going to be a short day, but we'll look for a couple entries if things trigger, and then we'll see if some fresh news comes out on any tickers for us in the morning. So that being said, real quick, want to touch on a new candlestick strategy as promised in the Twitter stream. So this setup here is called the the tower tops and tower bottoms, right? So let's just take a look at Apple on the daily. So the tower tops and tower bottoms is a reversal pattern, right? So it's actually considered pretty rare. I think I could have shown it to you here on a 15. I just saw earlier, just as an example, but not quite here. So let me just go to the daily. I did see one earlier. So tower tops is let's see, there's a good one here. Okay, this is a good one right here. Back in January. Back in January 2018. So it's a good way to just find pivots. This is another technique for finding pivots. We could have done it here or here. But just if you look at this one, it got a little. In fact, we could look at either one, but this one looks pretty good. What you do is you look for a long green bar as you're going in an uptrend, right? So you look for a long green bar, right? And this is the type of thing that, oh man, long green bar, let's go long. Well, let's just see what happens, right? So what it is a tower tops is one long green bar followed by one long red bar, but there's like several spinning tops between them, right? So here we had one long green bar, boom, spinning top day, lower spinning top day, right? So now this is almost kind of looking like a dumpling top like we did the other day, right? Followed by, very nice, a shooting star, topping tail right here. So really, if you look at these the real bodies, right? You have a big real body, small, 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 right? And then boom, right? We have a Yorikiri bar right here, big red bar. So big green bar followed by several small real bars, then followed by a big red bar, and that's your short entry, right? So here you can see this is their daily, so it broke your 50-day moving average, coincidentally, pierced through there, and then look, just kind of all the way down. So from 173 all the way down to 153. So a 20-point move off of this tower top setup, right? But if you go to the different pivots, right, it's actually pretty rare, right? A lot of these here, big green bar, big red bar, right? So if we were looking for a bottom, right, we would look for something like this, so a tower bottom, right? And so this is great. So we've got big red bar here, right, followed by this prior red bar. Big red bar here, right? Small real body, inverted hammer, right, which also could be bullish, but relatively smaller real body, smaller real body, smaller real body, big green bar, right? Another Yorikiri bar. And so your entry could have been here, right? And then boom, this hammer, and then perfectly, of course, right by earnings, nice huge gap up, and then went up almost what everybody thought was eternally there. So look for these setups, right? So look for your tower tops and tower bottoms. I'd seen another one too, just as I was scanning through. I saw one on NVIDIA. Not too long ago. I think it was actually back in July. Might have been the prior year. Fortunately, Apple gave us two good examples. Not there. Maybe it would have been earlier. Yep, so back in July here. So this is another one, potential. So you had big red bar, right? And keep in mind, of course, these bars aren't as big as we've seen recently. We're used to like huge days now. So just remember, once this whole thing is over, right, don't forget that we still need to keep our strategies and our game plan. We've been really blessed recently because of the intensity of the market. It's making these moves a lot more accentuated, right? But here we had a big red bar followed by a couple spinning top days, big green bar, right? So this is essentially your tower bottom, also a dumpling type bottom, right? You could double confirm that with red, small, 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 big. Then you go long, and even there would have been good for 154. Eventually, you could have just stalled out there to 168. So 15 points. I know that seems like a daily move these days, but that's still just another example right there. Anyway, so those were those. Pretty much that was the lesson I wanted to go over and the game plan review. And yeah, at this point, I kind of want to, go over any questions and things like that. I do want to give a shout out to Clayton. He's you guys should know him. He's usually very active on Twitter and in the YouTube chat room. He is prayers for him. He is on an airplane right now, heading back to Brazil for the holidays. So just keep him in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll look forward to seeing him when he gets back. I think he might even jump on a couple times when he's in Brazil. So yeah. But at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, I'd be happy to take a look. I did want to kind of touch on the game plan for tomorrow. Oh yeah, well, I'll touch on two real quick while you guys put in chart requests or questions. McDonald's. I like the fact that Dow is the futures are up really good right now, so that's good again for all my friends who are have long positions that got caught. Hopefully this will give them a good opportunity to trail up as high as possible to either get back to profitability or give a better exit than they would have been at on Friday. Anyway, McDonald's, I really like this one. Just on a if I go to the daily, kind of zoom out a little bit. Let me go back to the bar chart right here. McDonald's has been interesting. I like this. I had a smaller pitchfork on it recently, and it really just broke it down. But I didn't really analyze it thoroughly. And what I noticed is that this kind of wave 3 up right here concluded and traced back wave 4 as a triangle, which is a triangle will only occur in a wave 4, right, or a wave B. Right, those are the places that it can appear. So when you start seeing these triangles, you can really assume that you're in some sort of wave 4 or in some sort of wave B, right? And a triangle can occur within a wave B within a triangle as well. So this might have been a triangle back in here for the wave B, overshot, came down, right? C, D, E, right? So E, this is your wave 4 bottom. So if you can catch a triangle like this, you can pretty much you're in a wave 4, right? It made sense because we had this long wave 3 up. And I just want to show you, right, your projected length of that, right, is your length of wave 3 projected from wave E. So if you go here back to wave E, look at that. And this thing almost went perfectly to the tick, right, of that distance. So that's just something to help you confirm, or if you had an opportunity to trade in that area, that would have been a good way to do it. I was tracking candlesticks, I think, back at the time, and didn't see that we were in a triangle, even though it was super bullish coming up. That was really interesting. And then should have seen at that point that was probably a wave 5 top, right, because that was after wave 4. Either way, is what it is. We're here right now. I drew a bigger pitchfork off of this pivot here to the top of wave 5 to the bottom of wave, whatever, just see right here, this is a good pivot point. And what I showed is that right now we're at essentially almost these are great when your pitchforks are flat like this, because it's almost like a perfect channel, right, or a perfect drawn line. So anyway, so it came down here to fit, and it also corresponds with the 50% retracement right now of this wave 4. So it's very possible, and we have an inside day. So there's a possibility that if this breaks to the upside, it could retrace a good portion. It might not go all the way, and it could overshoot it, right? But we at least have a target maybe of like this 185 area if we can get over, kind of 176 to break this inside day up. Right? Now it is possible that we chop around a bit tomorrow, and we put a double inside day in, all the better, right? Because that means a good break to the upside could get us our target there. So I'm going to look at maybe doing a swing position into like kind of mid-January to at least get over 185 and then hopefully hit kind of closer to 190. So that's just kind of looking, it'll be on the game plan looking for, a long position. And then I wanted to show one more. I did say I'd show one inside 60 that I thought you'd find interesting. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the Amazon December 28th, so the weekly calls at 1525. Well, why are you doing that? The answer is, as I tweeted out earlier, as you can see, Amazon looks like it may have hit some pitchfork support here, right? So came all the way here, right, kind of worked its way up the reaction line, and this was December 19th, which was Fed Day, right? Now it could have kept going up that reaction line, right? If Powell's comments were great, could have gone all the way up that way, but instead they were bad, and or whatever, bad for the market, and basically shot right down. And I'd kind of tweeted that there's a good chance that if that happens, that we could see this, what did I say, 1368, and we ended up hitting 1363, and so we're right here. And Amazon put in a hammer day, to close the day, and also a hammer 60. So let me show you that real quick. We've got on your 60s, nice kind of hammer to close with volume, right? So it shows potential reversal, and also on the daily, no, it didn't put a hammer day. Sorry, just the hourly, but it did hit the support. So yeah. So at this point, I'm looking hopefully that Amazon could slowly make its way back up to this, maybe if it can, back up to the median line, back up to the 1530 area. So I'm going to show you, with that theory in mind, that if it does it this week, I want to show you the really cool setup right here. I'm going to go to the Amazon chart of the 1525 calls, and this is I'm actually going to put on the game plan. Now if we're gapping up, it'll be too late, right? Because it'll gap, the options will gap up too. But it did put in if you go to the option chart, it did put in an inside 60 anchor for us, right? So if for whatever reason, if we had gapped down, right, this would have been a great place to enter at $4.10 on the options, with a stop just below $3.50. So really, you're only looking at a 60, and you do 5-10 cents below that, a 60-70 cent risk on Amazon calls, right? And if it works in your favor, you're only risking 70 cents for the potential for it to get all the way back up. I mean, like we saw it. I mean, all the way back up here to $57. I mean, so that's a huge, just depending on where we gap up, if it does do this, right? I mean, that's, what is that? Yeah, it's a 10x trade right there. So on Amazon, which is pretty phenomenal. So I wanted to show that, and I wanted to show the counter perspective too. If you go to Amazon, right, and we go to the trade, I wanted to show you the chart first. If you go here, Oh, go back to my bar chart, sorry. Now if it did break down and it failed to hold this support area, the other theory is that it comes back down here, right? It hits down to this, slowly or whatever, it comes down to this trend line. So my next idea on a breakdown of support here, whereas it hits the top of prior resistance, so pitchfork support down here, so about 1250, right? Now we do have some RSI divergence, bullish divergence here, and stochastic divergence. So that's why I was thinking a balance is possible. But I do want to show you the counter perspective. If it does go to 1250, let me just pull up that chart right here. I mean, you guys know you can just plug it in. I could use this one and just go 1250 and just turn it into take the call and turn it to a put. And you can just chart those anytime you want to. And sometimes it doesn't hurt to have this pulled up like on a separate screen or a separate monitor or something like that. So, but in the meantime, let me just show you what that chart looked like. This doesn't help on the bar chart. We needed a candlestick on that one. Yeah, so look at the puts, right? The puts put in a bearish bar, right? A nice shooting star right here, a topping tail. So you had an inside 60 anchor on the calls and a topping tail on the puts. So it makes the puts look bearish and the calls look bullish, saying essentially implying overall a potential bullish move for Amazon. It looks like it's probably going to gap up tomorrow. Hopefully this holds for anybody who's got Amazon long, and can keep moving to the upside. So keep an eye on those options too for tomorrow. So that is all I have for chart review this evening of my stuff, but I'm happy to look at any of your stuff that you have. If you could add it to the chat window, I'll be happy to pull up any chart requests you have, or questions, general questions like that. And I am... What's going on, Thulasi? How are you? It's good to see you. I appreciate everybody jumping in. I know it's a... oh, good. We got a lot of stuff. Sorry, my screen just didn't update. So, hey, John D. Yeah, hey, it's all good. I appreciate everybody jumping on. So, Shirley, how are you? Darby Tuna, what's going on? Good to see you. My knowledge, good to see you. Merit forever. So, will the whole market have bearish sentiment tomorrow? No, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, overall, right, broadly, right, until the market proves otherwise, right, we are showing a reversal. Now, I mean, look, I'll show you this. There is this, right? So this is a trend line. I can show you on the weeklies here. This is a trend line from 2016. Perfect, trend line for the two lows here of 2016, right, February, right, June, right, all the way up to just the other day, right? So in a way, all we're doing is testing the bottom of this channel, and we could see, a big run back up, all the way back up here. I mean, you never know, right? So, but on the shorter time frame, we have put in a double top, boom, boom, right here, right? And we're working on, right, a wave 1, A, B, C, down, and then possible wave 3, right? So what we could be seeing overall, bearish, right? Because a wave 3 could continue down further. Then we could see a 4 and then a 5. So what we could be seeing on a bounce here is a wave 4 back up. Right now, wave 4s usually have a shallow retracement, right? They never. So if this is your wave 1, which is the theory, right? If this is your wave 1 right here, at just say 65, 64, right? Wave 4, a rule of Elliott wave is that wave 4 will never cross into wave 1. That's a rule, right? It's not just a guideline. There's a lot of guidelines in Elliott wave, but the rule is it won't cross over there. So if it does, if this market bounces here, the count is wrong, right? So this wasn't a wave 1. This is some other structure, right? And so it could go back up. But as long as it holds below here on any sort of bounce, now a bounce would be huge, right? So 6,071 all the way up to, that would be a $500 bounce on the NASDAQ, right? So that would be, in most people's minds, a pretty big rally, right? But unless it breaks that level, right, although we could enjoy capturing this wave 4 to the upside, I have no problem, with anybody going long if it looks it's confirmed to the upside, right? But as long as it holds below here, overall sentiment is going to be bearish, right? Like we could be entering into a long-term, bear market, right? So we just have to keep an eye on that to see if that is indeed confirmed, right, or not. So in the meantime, like I said, we've got this long-term channel here where the NQ could be bouncing off of and could at least give us a nice rally, back to those levels. So yeah, so in general, overall bearish until proven otherwise, right? So, but rally, if it rallies, then we've got we have a game plan and we have setups where we could look to go long, right? So, yeah, and exactly, futures are up for now. We'll see how they are in the morning, but hopefully, hopefully we'll see. So, yeah. So for Fang, I mean, same thing. It's been following the Qs. So I mean, really, Fang are the leaders of the Qs, right? So I mean, most charts on the Fang. So to say like Amazon. Everything's pretty much got a very similar structure, right? So this one I have labeled a little bit better. I had more labels on it, but it's really impossible to read, right? So we have wave 1 down here, right? Started the pitchfork with that. A, B, C, right? For wave 2 completion, and now we're working on wave 3, right? So wave 3, like I said, could project. I had that drawn up earlier. Could project all the way back down, right? Much further than wave 1, or right, we could be potentially in a different type of pattern. I don't think wave 3 would be over here, but don't forget, all these patterns form, if it's an impulse wave, this could have been like a 1, 2, 3, and we could be looking for a wave 4 pullback, right, of this wave 3. So, on a shorter time frame. So we could definitely pull back to this area. That's why 1525 is something I'm looking at. And same with the other Fang stocks too. So, so there could be some bullish moves going on throughout Fang. HSBC, Shirley, very good. This actually, I think, it came up on a list. I thought it was an inside day the other day. I didn't tweet it out because it's it does jump around a lot. No, it wasn't inside day. Maybe it was inside week. I can't remember. Yeah, double inside week. Look at that. So yeah, so with HSBC. You definitely want to keep an eye on it, right? So to see which way it goes. I mean, in fact, I'll put an alert here to the top because that is a double inside week. You could get some moves, especially if all, the finance industry or the XLF starts getting bullish. So let's see. So double inside week. 1 second. Inside week up, and then double inside week down. We put an alert there. Inside week down. Okay, so this is definitely worth keeping on the radar if we can get out of this double inside week up. Don't forget, remember Wells Fargo not too long ago gave us a double inside week, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So Wells Fargo gave a double inside week as well back here, right? And then it broke to the upside, gave a pretty good move, 53.52 all the way up to 55. So a nice 2-point move off of that break, and then it eventually came and tested the other side of it pretty strongly, right? Because that would have been like essentially some sort of triangle, overshoot, and then break to the downside, right? So overall, pretty bearish on that Wells Fargo. But yeah, so HSBC, and then let's take a look. So you had your double inside week, and let's go see what the month looks like. So month, you have this is a true, right? This was an inside month, and now we are truly, unless we break above this, bearish engulfing, right? So the real body is engulfing the real body here, but at the same time, the whole candle is engulfing the prior whole candle. So you have a real big outside bar here. So we just need to see again if that double inside week breaks to the upside, that could invalidate that the real body bearish engulfing, and see which way it goes. For the daily, obviously, most everything got hit pretty hard, except for Tesla and McDonald's and a couple other ones. But yeah. So it had shooting star, shooter day here after an inside day, right? Took that inside day to the downside, and then on the hourlies, it did put in a pretty decent reversal hammer here. It didn't quite go green yet, but it still would be considered a hammer. So you can see if that takes that to the upside too, and then you go. Let's go to the daily, hourly. See, it's a little bit of a tough one because of the ADR, so it jumps around a lot. But just to kind of sort of pitchfork this, look for a pivot. We could do something like this for now. just to see how it holds this pivot here, right? And then notice how if it broke that, it would break the double inside weak to the upside, and then again, it might give you a push to fill a couple gaps right there, and maybe get up to that 43 level before finding some resistance. So, yeah, so good chart there, Shirley. Manoj, I would like to know market trend for next few months. Yeah, so everybody would. If I could tell that, right, I would just load up. But the point is that we just have to look. Right? We just have to wait to see what it tells us. Overall, I think broader picture, like we said, is we could be looking for some sort of wave 4 bounce happening of this kind of, we don't know how big this this bear market's going to be, right? But we had 1 ABC, 2, right? Could be 3. I don't think wave 3 is done, but I think this could be wave 3 of 3, and then could give us a wave 4 bounce as long as it doesn't cross over, right? That wave 1 down, right? It's still bearish, right? So let's say we could get a rally phase here to the median line, then over the next few months we would see a further push back down. Wave 5 should get below here. We might see back, up in February, we might see testing below this, at least testing this 2300 level, which would make sense because that would be, if you go back and look, this is your wave 1, right? Now wave 3 is never going. That's another rule, right? Wave 3 is never going to be the shortest wave. So it should be usually at least as big as wave, wave 1, which it is now, right? Which it is now, or right, it would be bigger, right? So which would make sense. And then wave 5 would be usually wave 3 is expanded, so we'll see if that expands back down here to this 2300 level. So that's kind of my projection for the next couple of months. But like I said, I mean, if this wave 4, right, quote unquote wave 4, gets a rally up here, I mean, you might get some new flows in, new quarterly and yearly flows from your institutions, and they might push this thing up as high as they could go, right? So it's really hard to say. You have to trade the price action and have to have your levels where it's invalidated, right? So at this point, obviously, I'd be cautiously optimistic because the futures are up, that we could see some sort of corrective rally phase. And then it might chop, right? It could be, so 4 could be any sort of, it could be a triangle, right? Now wave 2 was pretty choppy, so typically it's the Elliott's rule of alternation, not guideline of alternation. If wave 2 is choppy, like it was here, wave 4 should be more pronounced. So you could see a wave 4 like that, right? If we're even in a wave 4, it could be just a short wave 4. We don't know, so we could triangle or chop around in here up to here. Like I said, if we get new flows in, it could invalidate this whole wave count and go up. But overall, this is looking like a pretty textbook downward move, and if it does even continue textbook style, I would say 2300s by February. Relinfra, Shirley, what is that? Is that a ticker? I don't know what Relinfra is. I feel like it's a acronym that I should know. But if there's a ticker that I could look at, is that the name of the company? If you had a ticker on that one that I could plug in, I'll check it out. Sorry, I just don't know what it means. What's going on, Jack? Hey, welcome. Good to see you. Is there a link on reading more about orbs? Yeah, let me put it in the. Let me grab it off of my my Twitter thing, and I will post it in the window here. But you can always go to my my pinned tweet off of my Twitter feed, and if you click on that and expand it and show the whole thread. I've got a bunch of postings. I've got double inside days strategy. I've got how I trade the 60-minute time frame. My internet's going really slow right now, but yeah, I've got the orb method. So let me put a link to the orb method for you, since you asked specifically. It should be on here somewhere. Yeah. Copy link. All right, I'm going to post that. It should put up at the bottom there for you, Jack. So that's the orb method posted at the bottom. In the chat, and I'll put it at the bottom of it in case anybody's listening to this after the live feed. I'll put it at that link to the bottom of the description section of the YouTube feed. So good to see you, Jack. Manoj, how some reason I'm not able to clearly see charts. Anyone same boat? You mean is it like fuzzy? If it's fuzzy, I apologize. It's just my internet. If it comes through not so clear, I apologize. Sometimes if you look at the replay, it usually kind of comes back in HD, so you can always go back through and look at it. I'm sorry if it's coming through kind of unclear. I have to get faster internet. CG Power, surely. Not sure what that is. These are very big symbols. I'm not sure what it means. If you had like a four-letter ticker on it, or a five-letter ticker, or a three-letter ticker, I could pull it up for you, but I'm sorry I can't pull those up. Looking at a spike in the VIX ETF to short this week. Oh, that's a good thought right there. Yeah, I mean, PRHK is one of my follows, one of the guys I follow on Twitter. Great guy, and great charts. He's got like a strategy for trading the VIX. Type. He does like a Bollinger Band he does a Bollinger Band on it, like with 2 standard deviations. And if it pops above that, it's usually a good shorting opportunity. So, definitely, yeah. If we see a spike, that could be a possibility. I don't really mess around with VIX too much. I just use it as an indicator because it could get wild and you could get caught in it. But a lot of people short it, very safely. On spikes. So definitely worth looking at that, Brent. But good to see you, man. Good to have you here. TVIX will decline with VIX. Right. It'd be pretty crazy. Mike, good to see you. How about starting position in SPXL? Jimmy, good to see you. SPXL. Okay, so we've got the bullish ETF, and you're thinking is a starting position SPXL. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility, right? If we're looking for a spike in the SPX, why not, try these leverage products for doing that? Yeah, so I mean, if it looks like we're going to get a bounce, it could be something to attempt to trade. I usually don't trade like the leverage products. I'd rather just go long SPY, right, and just trade those. But yeah, you could definitely look at that. How do the options trade on this thing? Okay, so they do monthly options, and that's one of the things I like about SPY, is because they're so liquid. But here these are really spready, right? You're looking at like 20-cent spreads, 40-cent spreads, right? So for me, I mostly trade options just to limit any kind of risk, as long as you trade the right ones, right? So SPY, I'd rather just do, at some point, let's say we get even the weeklies, if we can pull up here. So 24, let's go to 28th, so the end of the week. Yeah, I mean, if we got a rally back up to kind of this kind of area, 240, 245, 250, right? The 250s are trading at 73 cents with a 3-cent spread, so that's definitely something. And there's a lot of liquidity here, right? 10,000 open interest, huge volume here, like 30,000 on Friday. So you can definitely get in and out if you needed to. But yeah, it's definitely, you can take a look at doing a position there, especially if you liked how it closed here, right? So different than some of the FANG stocks, right? This one had, your Qs gave you more of a hammer, right? Your SPYs kind of gave you a spinning top, right? So yeah, but still, if the whole market's going to rally, obviously you're getting SPY calls, trying to get them up here at this 250 area. Here's this is a reaction line right here, so this 250 is kind of a good target. So that's something to look at, definitely. Netflix, yes, of course. So good old Netflix. Nice hammer, right? So you can use this. This is going to be on the game plan for tomorrow. It gave us a 60 anchor, right? It doesn't have to be inside to be an anchor. It could be another actionable bar, right? So a hammer is actionable, right? So tomorrow if we gap up, right, not necessarily chase, but look to see if it comes and retests this hammer bar, and if it does, right, make sure it doesn't go 50% into the range, and then you could always trade it back up if the market is strong, right? Now if it fails, if we come back in and we're weak, then you could trade this tail, a break of that tail to the downside, a tail fail, right, and look to trade that to the downside, and then we've got a couple gaps below, right? So if you come over here, On the daily, you can see, sort of see, right? We still have a big gap down here, right? That could be filled, and that was 227.79. There's another gap down here too, so yeah, so just watch that. You can look at it as a 60 anchor. Now I'm going to try to trade live in the morning tomorrow, so we'll keep this on the list. I've got I'll tweet the game plan out, but I've got Netflix, Amazon, and Google all gave us pretty much nice 60 hammers anchors to deal with, and then of course we have that Amazon 1525 inside 60 anchor, 1525 call as well. Nike. So Nike's going to be on the 30 orb list for tomorrow. So we'll just watch the 30-minute bar on Nike. So still held the gap pretty well, right? Ended up really kind of looking more like a kind of a flagging type pennant type situation right here. So Nike actually held up. I mean, had a nice short to the downside, but if we've got a good strong day tomorrow, I would definitely look at trading the 30 orb on this to the upside to get some continuation on that. So, I mean, broader picture, we had this orange line here was that's weekly. Can't remember if there was a gap. Usually, I think it was just support. Yeah, just support. So, below it or gapped above it. Not much else, right? So, gapped above this area, and then we'll just look to see if we can get some continuation to the upside, right? So it is kind of forming like a sort of a cup and handle. Might consolidate, but let's watch the 30 orb on Nike surely tomorrow. And let's see, could you analyze the chart and give me your opinion, Jimmy? Oh yeah, so for XPXL, yeah, so that was just as you said, if you just look at the straight chart itself, I mean, obviously, huge red bar on the monthly, right? The weekly, huge red bar, but it is coming up above. You could watch that as a breakout point if it gets above 31.56. This is your weekly 200 simple moving average, right? So if it could get back above that, you might see some long side and at least try to reclaim 50% of that weekly bar at 33.73. So look for a break there of 31. Let's say 31.5 to go up to try to get to 34 as a potential target. And then, daily is not really actionable. The hourly, like I said, put in a spinning top. So, sometimes that does represent indecision. So if it does break this 30 bar too, right here, you can just put a real easy stop on it. It's only a 61-cent stop. You could put the other stop at the bottom of the spinning top if it takes it to the upside, right? So that's a possibility there. And then if you look at the, if we do... It's really hard here because basically we're kind of at this point we're saying, okay, this thing's going to pivot, right? Because we're gapping up and we're going to put in a pivot here. So it's really hard to tell to get too much of a pitchfork on this. So we could just kind of use that as a reference. If we pivot here, right, we could, like I said, we could work all the way up, right? So, but again, 34 is, I think, a good, reasonable first target to at least get halfway through that huge week to the downside and then see if we can get further up. But we'll keep this on the watch list, so just bring it up next time. We'll keep tracking it. Good one, Jimmy. Yeah, and surely, yeah, HSB long just gotta break, right? That double inside week. So, but yeah, it definitely looks, like it could be bullish. Raisha, how's it going? Good to see you. Arezi. What do you guys think about buying gold right now? Anyone in chat? Yeah, so up to you guys if you want to chat about it. But at the meantime, gold has been kind of poking its head up, right? And amazingly, I haven't really been following gold as much as I probably should. But 1245 was a key number, and then it finally broke that. Right, we have been. What have we been looking at on this? I know. Yeah, we did a pitchfork on gold recently, and it broke through support, came back down, and now it's kind of poking up, right? And so it's at this 1266. If it could, right, get some push, it would, and get over 1300, right? But right now we're kind of maybe looking cup and handle. See how it handles this support area, and then see if we can get another breakout if the market breaks down later. Jack, how's it going? Appears financial sector. not providing liquidity much. Otherwise, why Mnuchin call for me? Exactly. I agree. I mean, everything is overall pretty bearish, right? Government being shut down, Mnuchin calling the banks, and then announcing that they're calling them and all that stuff. So, but I mean, the market's full of fake outs and all that stuff. So he could be calling them, getting people to think it's bearish, and then it goes bullish, and everybody's like, oh no. So just keep an eye on that. Just watch price, and let it tell us which way it's going. So Merit, yeah, Facebook. Good one. Facebook, like we said, got absolutely just demolished the other day on the 15 orb. So this will be on our 30 orb list for tomorrow. Might give us a reversal or give us some continuation, right? So I think I had drawn this at one point, sort of like a bearish flag break to the downside. But if we go back and just kind of look at our candlesticks again, and you guys know I tweet all the fangs out every night, every market night. So you can look at your monthly. Monthly is red. You can see your weekly, huge red after somewhat of a green shooter bar right there. Daily, I'm sorry for the mess. It's just, you guys know I draw those reaction lines, and they make sense the more you look at them, right? Measured move, right, off of that bear flag there to the downside, back through this median line. But it did put in, kind of a big green spinning top, right? So we'll see how that handles that, if it takes it to the upside and gets some follow through, right? So if we go back to the just the 60s on the bar chart, we're kind of in the middle of the range right here, right? So it may come back up, try to retest this level. If it pivots, then it's definitely coming back down, right? I mean, more than likely. So let's see. Or it could just be on a straight shot. I mean, it almost looks bearish still, despite that spinning top bar, and looks like it could hit this reaction line here right at pitchfork support at 117. Sorry, I've had 116 on the mind. That was my projection for NVIDIA not too long ago. But yeah, so just keep an eye on this. I mean, it might give you another bear flag up to resistance here at the median line, and then if the market kind of peters out, you might see it come back down, to that 116 level again a little bit later. So that's Facebook. Mnuchin's action, Manoj suggests fear in administration. Banks has a lot of liquidity. They're earning a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, I promise, no matter what's happening, they're making money. Tarby Tuna, what's going on? Yeah, you. I believe you had tweeted out all the awesome inside days the other day, so that's great. Costco. I meant to analyze this a little bit further. We do have a huge gap after the earnings gap, right? And let's see how it's looking. Let me zoom out here real quick. I appreciate everybody jumping in and all the participants. You guys love the market as much as I do, right? It's always fun just to watch and learn and trade and make money. Hard to say here. Just kind of look. I mean, obviously not looking too bullish, right? I mean, it may have pivoted here and could give some upside or not. We do have a gap here, which was filled. Isn't that awesome? I love when that happens. I mean, here, it gaps down on earnings, right? And then you're like, okay, it didn't fill, it filled like a small gap here. But, and then you look at this, and just a couple days later, it fills that. So, obviously, this area here, represented some sort of, pretty solid support, right? Because it just kind of hovered around the area. It did have a gap down here, which could get filled around 189. So if it does want to get weaker, and this pivot is not done forming, we could see it get down to 189. So let's watch. That's the beauty of the inside day, because it gives you, an anchor, right? It gives you a something to use as a guide, right? A reference point. So obviously, general action here looks very high. I mean, it is kind of like a tweezer top too, right? Because that they're both at the exact same level, right? The high here was 200.7, and this is 200.7. So a break to the downside further, it could be very bearish, right? And you could even have a stop at the top of that bar, right? We had an inside day here, tested the upside, failed, came down, went all the way down from this inside day from 201 back down to 194, and now we've got this huge range, $6 range here. So just watch the price action on this. It might gap up a little bit inside the range, but this still looks really bearish to me. So I'm just gonna put alert on that inside day down with gap at 189. So that could be a good short. Of course, market rallies. Might look to take this one long, or hopefully we get a double inside day and really get to jump on our strategy on that. So day up to median line. So if it takes that inside day up, I wouldn't be surprised if the pivot's in. Then we get all the way back up, this 205 area, maybe 207. So that's Costco. Reliance Infrastructure Ltd. I gotcha. So Reliance. Let's see. Infrastructure. Oh, okay. RELFF. RELFF for Shirley. Did this one recently go public? I wouldn't trade this one. If you can't even get like a bar, right? I don't even know how to read this. It looks like ticks, doesn't it? That's the coolest. I tell you, you do find the coolest charts ever. Yeah, these are, I can't trade this. I can't even fathom. And the volume is so low. Look at that 1,000. I mean, you can't even trade this, unfortunately. I mean, you could, but I wouldn't know how to. Does it have options? No, it looks like a new issue too. Or did you hate when you hit that tools button instead of charts? Anyway, yeah, but that's a cool one. Nice, Jack. Check your settings. My default. Oh, okay, change it to 17. Are you talking about Doug? Are you talking about in like on my broadcaster? I will check that. I'm showing 30 frames per second. I'll look into that and see if I can improve the output on that. So, you're talking to whoever's reading it. So if you're seeing it, okay, awesome. Peter HK, what's up? I think I just gave you a shout out. What's up? Anyway, Jack Resu, I had mine drop down to auto. I gotcha. Okay, cool, Mike. Awesome. Good. All right, well, that's good. So if you're seeing it fine, that's good. I don't have to get faster internet. And CG Powers and Industrial Solutions. Okay, gotcha. CG Power. I'm not seeing it yet, Shirley. Sorry. But if you find like a shorter ticker for it, that'll pull up in Thinkorswim, we'll get it. Jimmy, what's going on? Would you recommend trading the Qs versus the SPY? Yeah, I mean, so just just trade your it looks like I said, if you pull up the Qs on that weekly, right, you saw that trend, right, this trend line that it's been kind of falling. So if we do get a bounce, right, we've got the let's go to the bars around the hourly. There. Right, so yeah, so with the Qs, you got that, a little bit more of a hammer. It's barely a hammer, right? So, a break above here, you could use this as your 60 anchor, right, to look for a potential trade, right? So if we gap up a little bit, comes back out and tests this level, you could try to trade to the upside and look to trade the Qs. Like I said, it's really coming off of that bouncy. And just want to give a shout out to my wife, who I love very much. And yeah. So so you could do the Qs versus the SPY. GNW, got it. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, GNW, inside 60 anchor potentially, right? But keep in mind, right, these penny stocks, right? If you like trading these, they're really tough, right? Because you've got you had a huge bar right here, right? But the rest of them are like 7 cents, 4 cents, right? So you put on size, and it ticks against you, and you're like, you're getting destroyed, right? So, but in general, for GNW, you've got red month, inside red month. You've got a weekly that is starting to turned green last week. So you had an inside week prior, then you had then you got a hammer week last week. So just look at this to the upside potentially. I don't know what kind of move you're going to get. because of the size of the stock. But hammer weak. I'll put an alert on that for you just to look. News. Let me click on news. See if anything. Termination date. Oceanwide mortgage insurance. All that. I mean, it's got a little bit of news type stuff going on. But yeah, so I mean, you've got this sort of one of your favorite, kind of cup and handle situations here, with the handle being pretty close to this area. So, but I mean, your targets are only going to be, $4.93. So a potential 40-cent move with a stop below here at 11 cents. So you're looking at a 1-to-1 risk reward. But if it does have some, some bullish kind of divergence here on the RSI. So, so there is some potential for some upside, I would say. And then if you obviously some good stuff happened here. So, these type of big bars on volume, they're worth following. So a lot of people get in on those and then they hold. So just as long as that holds, right, could be pretty good. And then let's see. I would definitely call out a pivot. So just look to see how it handles this area, right? So it might kind of come back in. That was a big, might kind of come back in halfway. It's got to break through, right, to get some more upside. So keep an eye on it. Definitely. No problem, Jimmy. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for participating. Really appreciate it. Oh, it's an Indian ADR. Gotcha, Mike. That's cool. Jump on this N6. Cool. No, for the guy who had trouble. Right, I gotcha. And then GSAT. Yeah, let's see how GSAT's doing. That had a nice breakout the other day, didn't it? Let's see how it held. Pretty good, actually. So I kind of like that action, right? So it broke out through the median line. Now it's came back in to the median. Now you just got to watch and see if it pivots here for you, right? And doesn't break below it. So make sure it doesn't get too far below this, point, this 42-cent area. And if it gives you a nice little sort of inside bar here, gives you a nice little pivot, I wouldn't be surprised if you got some more upside on it. So it's definitely worth watching. It's got some good volume coming in too. So as long as it holds this 42 cents, it doesn't break below it, I think it's got some some potential to at least try to test this high right here at 49. So definitely like that. So no problem, Jack. Thanks for jumping in and checking it out. We do it every market night. So and I'm planning to be here Christmas night. So I don't expect too many people online, but I'll still analyze charts and check it out. I'm gonna be here. That's my vacation is actually being able to analyze charts. Right, it's my favorite thing to do, and help people with market questions and things like that. So, oh wow, after hours 51. Oh yeah, look at that, solid. I mean, yeah, there's something going on here. This thing might break $1 one of these days, and you're gonna be all over it. So yeah, just keep an eye, see how it handles it. That's good. Reliance Infrastructure would offer much better liquidity on Sensex Nifty. Sorry for the confusion. I gotcha. I understand. That's cool. Much appreciated. Very generous of you. Hey man, my pleasure. Like I said, this is something I love doing, and as many people as I can help, the better, right? Because some of you guys have already heard my story and all that stuff, but I paid for every service out there and lost a lot of money and all that stuff, and I was just like, I finally was able to trade full time and was able to figure out how to stay profitable, right? Although not, but I also had to manage risk really well because I had bills to pay. And so the type of trades I would have taken before, where I put on a huge size, right, I couldn't do that anymore because if I lost, right, then I wouldn't be able to pay bills, right? And so I just kind of take all those lessons that I learned and just put them out there. So to help some people maybe avoid situations of losing the type of money I lost or spending the type of money I had. And so so I'm an engineer, a degreed engineer, and then I was in the Navy. Worked as an engineer in the Navy. Hence my name, Bubblehead, right? So I was a nuke officer, and so yes, I did that, and then I got out, and then I worked in nuclear industry, and now I run projects. Kind of doing like manufacturing and stuff like that. So but I traded full time after I got laid off back in February, and I was able to stay alive and pay bills and all that stuff, but really learned how to manage risk, because when I first started, it's like, I've had some folks talk to me about being scared to trade, right, because they've lost so much money and all that, and it's true, right? And so I remember when I first started trading full time, I couldn't put on a trade because I was like, just so scared that I'd lose money, right? And then because it's like you want everything to be green, and eventually I kind of got I think my first trade I made when I was like full time, I made like the whole day I made like $15 or like $30, and I was like, oh man, I was so stressed and nervous and all that stuff. And then eventually I started loosening up a little bit. You take some hits, and but you minimize your losses, right? But you always, when you're profitable, you always preserve your profit unless you see, and you always preserve it. And then you just have to see the best setup. If the best setup doesn't come up, right, you don't take it, right? So you just be patient. And it's hard because you get used to, if you've got a salary position or something like that, you get used to making X amount every day or X amount every week. And when you're out there trying to trade to make a living, it's a lot harder, right? Because you could have $1,000 day, and then the next day you could maybe lose $50, and you're like, okay, it's really tough to not make that consistent every day. So that's why I kind of honed down and came up with game plans, and I've got real strict risk management rules, this way, to not lose money, and then if you hit a good winner, then you can maximize it, right, and then let it run. And those are the days that you make the most money, and then the other days you just got to minimize your losses, and but just keep pushing forward, right? So, but I continue to do this too, just so I could study and keep putting the charts out there and learn techniques. Like, I'm getting a lot better at Elliott Wave, and I really think there's a lot of potential there with swing trading, and getting a little bit better at swing trading, things like that. And then, as we get better and hopefully make a fortune doing it, right? I mean, that's the goal. But you can't gamble on it, right? You can't treat it like a casino. You have to treat it like a business. But, for the most part, at least treat your strategy at building consistently, right? So yeah. Sorry, I kind of rambling there. ASTC. But that's why I do it, just to help as many as I can. And it helps me too, because you guys put out good ideas out there that could be good trades, and it forces me to look at more charts, which is always helpful, and then helps me hone my analysis too. So, yeah, this is why you trade those penny stocks, because it could do this, and you could, really crush it, right? But at the same time, this is kind of looks like trading options, right? You wait for a big break, and then the options go. But yeah, that was a huge move right there on that. Looks like it does it occasionally too. I don't know if it's prone to putting out news, but obviously the month is green here. Had huge volume that month, 50 million, 16 million. I mean, this thing does some volume. Nice green week, like you said, red day. I don't know if it's got some news, acquisition. I don't know, type thing. Astrotech. Commercial development, science, technology, commercialization, university research. No wonder it's a penny stock. They don't have any. It's not a bro company. But either way, it went up to $5, so that's good. And then let's see. Yeah, huge hourly bar. This is one of your Yorikiri bars. Is the belt hold bar right here. So just keep an eye on that and see if it breaks further. But like you said, hit $5, and then that whole number break, boom, they shut it back down. So just keep an eye on it. Tough to really pitchfork this thing because these aren't real pivots. These are like almost VIX spikes, So it's really hard with these type of spikes. It's more like a VIX. This is more like look to short it on any big spike. Oh, it spiked up, short it. Spiked up, short it. Spiked up, short it. So that's kind of how I see it. But it's pretty tough. So Mike retired in January, started trading in June, quadrupled by the end of September, and then decided to continue to enforce the same strategy and down mid 6 figures and need to manage risk. Exactly. You just have to it depends what your goals are, right? And I follow Option Sniper. He's really a great guy to learn a lot from, right? I'm not saying follow all his trades, but his trades that are successful, they're definitely worth going back and studying to see what he was looking at. That's really great for options. But his big thing is their risk and banking your profits, right? And that's the thing, is if you're trading for a living, right, you want to be able to put as much in your bank as possible so you could pay bills and all that stuff. If you're trying to just make a fortune doing it, it's gonna be a lot harder because you keep on leveraging and going up, and it can can really pull against you. So yeah, Mike, definitely got to manage risk. Key, right? So and find your best setups, whatever the best setups that work for you, right? I've got a game plan of the setups that work best for me. But if you do best trading off of moving averages, just only trade the best setups off of moving averages, right? And then move your stops up, and don't let trades move against you. Don't be stubborn, right? So that was one of the big things I learned right away. It was like my second day of trading. I was like, okay, this time I see this setup, I'm going to take it and I'm going to hold it until it really goes. And I held it as it kept going down and down and down. I was like, I got to get out. And I lost money. And then like 2 days later, it was back up to the same level. And I was like, I knew intuitively that it was going to go down. I should have just got out, right? And then waited for another entry, right? You don't have to let these trades go against you. If it doesn't feel right, get out, right? That's the thing. Well, I know, Shirley, it's that point and figure. I will one day study that and learn that. And then I'll be like, hey, let's pull up the point and figure chart on this. So I'll get to it. I will get to it. That is on my bucket list of things to trade. So Manoj, thank you. Hey man, it's always is my pleasure. I know a sample trading plan can be shared and risk control steps. Yeah. So if you go to my pinned tweet, if you go to on the hourly, how I trade hourly timeframes, it shows exactly how I manage risk. Right. I do it bar by bar. And like I said, if I don't like a trade after I get in it and it doesn't go right away, I usually get out. And so that kind of shows my hourly methodology right there. And so I've got examples. If you just go through my pinned tweet on Twitter, I have lots of samples and all that stuff. And then, like I said, I just move it bar by bar. And typically, once I go green, I move my stop to profit, right? So that's why I only trade liquid stocks. I only trade liquid options where I can move stops really quickly. That's why I don't like 20-cent spreads and things like that, unless I'm swinging something and I'm expecting a huge move on it. Once I'm green, I move my stop to profit. I mean, no sense in losing that green, to get stopped out later, right? So that's pretty much it. So trade the best setup that works for you, wait for it to trigger, move your stop to profit, let it run, look for another trade, right? But don't overtrade. So yeah, Solo oil ticker. How's our oil's looking up too? Look at that. Everything's great. We're good to go. Solo. Yeah, huge spike back there. Kind of a funky little name. I'll just kind of go through real quick. Obviously the month is red here. After another red month, after a shooter month too, shooting star topping tail month right here, it's following that red down, real light volume, green week. Basically just had that big spike back there. The hourly, kind of a hammer, but the volume's really low. I don't like the liquidity on this one. But definitely, so if I'm going to trade oil stock, I'm going to trade like XOM or CVX or something like that, Chevron or Exxon. That's pretty much it. Those are the only ones I really look at. Sometimes I look at ECA. This one gap down on earnings. I had put on, where is it at? Oh, it's at $5. Goodness gracious. I had tried a long position a while ago when it gapped down. And I got out like somewhere around here, just never worked. But I'm glad I didn't hold on to that one. Whew. And that is why you minimize losses. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't working, get out. That's the idea. So, wow. I was expecting a gap fill a little quicker, not so much. So, this is a penny stock now. Goodness gracious, that's hilarious. So enjoyed the low vol right up. I got used to dip buying. That's right, they dried up and I was slow to catch on. But that's it, man. I always recommend everybody who DMs me with ideas, or books and all that stuff, read Elliott Wave. I mean, it's changed my life, on how to evaluate where I'm at in an overall broad spectrum of things, right? You don't have to necessarily trade the waves, but at least you know where you are, and you could look for candlestick setups. So if we're in a downtrend right now, like now we're kind of in the short the rip type situation, right? So obviously we're getting a rip right here, probably into tomorrow, but we just have to scale that and use our Fibonacci's to see how high it's going to go to look for another short setup. Unless, like I said, unless it breaks that that level, right? So where are we looking at? That SPX, right? So if this was level 1 down, right, we don't want to get back above this 26, 16, right? That would invalidate that count, right? Because wave 4 wouldn't be able to, wouldn't retrace into wave 1. So yeah, and well, let me see, NVCN. NVCN looks like it's gonna keep going down surely. I mean, this is one of those ones like contraction leads to expansion, right? This has been contracting for a while. I mean, eventually it might get a good spike on this thing. This thing looks just really frightening. But it did have a spike the other day. That is a good thing at the end of the day. So contraction leads to expansion. Look at that. Yeah, big pop the other day too. Look at that. Almost doubled in value. And it got some volume in on it too. That's awesome. So yeah, look for a potential continuation on this. Could be bull flagging right there, in the 30s, and could get some more movement to the upside. Definitely worth keeping an eye on this one. What was was there news on it that caused it to spike? Resume trading, circuit breaker, volatility. It got a certification for medical devices. Okay, yeah. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. See if it breaks that to the upside. Don't you love circuit breakers? Take away all the fun. Yeah, that looks like a fun penny stock. Something to keep an eye on. I like it. Yeah, ECA 301. Goodness gracious. I trade mostly options. I look at the daily charts and I trade options off of that, right? So if we've got, like I said, Amazon here, right, is put in a, because your risk is truly defined, right, when you do options, right? So if I buy $1,000 worth of options, the most I could possibly lose is $1,000, right? So, but you have to be accurate, right? And you have to catch the move, right? So that's the only hard part. You have time and you have direction against you, but mostly time against you too. But if you miss it, right, you're gonna lose your premium quickly, right? So whereas if you had the shares, you could at least give it a little more time, but you could also exponentially increase your returns, right? So yeah. So if I was going to do options here, if Amazon gapped up and came back in, I would look to buy some calls. Remember those 1525s I was talking about with a stop here at the low of the day. But even on those, I would just use the option chart as well and keep it, what was it, $4.10 entry with a stop at 350 or 345, and then I would just try to trade that to the upside with the options. So you can use option charts too; they're great. EWP yesterday, yeah, good, Mike. That's awesome. Yeah, please, I highly recommend everybody read Elliott Wave Principle. And this is a good week to read it because we might have a choppy week or not. I don't know. Like I said, everything's been different. But definitely changed my life and the way I look at trading. You can also cover 10 to 20 cents in options with 10 contracts or 5. Absolutely, man. I do that all the time. And then you move your stop up, right? So, it's got to be a liquid. So, SPY, I don't give these things room, right? I mean, if you buy, that was like the other day you guys saw me, I tweeted out, I usually don't announce my entries too much, but I was getting a lot of naysayers saying that Apple was gonna because I was gonna be a buyer at Apple at 150. Now of course now the futures are up, I should have done it, and I did. I bought it, and I bought like the next week's or whatever they were, like 63 cents, and I ended up stopping out at 64 cents, but I'm going to move my stop up, right? It worked. It got up to like 69 cents. I'd moved my stop up to profit, and it came back in a little bit, and I missed. If it didn't stop me out, I would have held it. That's why on Fridays I always buy the next week's options, just in case I get that bounce. And it looks like it's going to happen here, so it's like I feel like I'm going to miss it, because I had it. But yeah, so I made a penny off of that trade. But it could have been more. So next week, if it gets all the way back up, here, to this kind of resistance level, those 64-cent options, could be $1.20. I could double my money on it. So, but I don't let it get to me because I made a little bit of money on it and I didn't lose anything, right? So there's always another bus to catch the next day, right? Mike, you strictly road options. Yeah, that's a great way too. Exactly. They don't trend forever and it ends fast. Yeah. So again, you just got to monitor it and just know where you're at with the rest of the market. So, but yeah, that's a good way to do it. So especially writing on, when volatility is high too, you can capture a lot of that premium. But yeah, wow, I really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. It's I'm glad I have a little more energy because it's I'm on vacation this week, so I should be trading most mornings, obviously, except Christmas. So I'm gonna try to go live in the morning tomorrow, around 9:30, so you can catch me trading or at least walking through some of the 60 anchors and just kind of look at the overall market and stuff like that. So feel free to jump on tomorrow morning, and then if you have any questions during the day or whatever, feel free to tweet at me. Or send questions in the chat box or wherever we're at, or even follow up here if you guys are watching this video later. You can put in the comment section that goes right to my email, and I respond really quickly to those. So appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a good restful night and awesome trading week this week. And if I don't see you guys online or I won't be doing it tomorrow because the market's closed on Christmas, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you again soon. So have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. All right, talk to you later.